evening from Los Angeles, California. I'm Dr. Ryan Ava. Well, divorced Trump and guilty are colliding once again in the headlines. The Trump Organization, the company that is synonymous with the disgraced former president, was found guilty on all 17 counts of tax fraud and other crimes. The Trump Organization is basically the Trump family business. But it is worth noting that neither Trump nor any of the Trump children were on trial this time. Instead, the company's CFO Alan Weisselberg pleaded guilty over the summer, taking a plea deal with prosecutors in exchange for revealing the Trump Organization's illegal business practices. As a result of Weisselberg's testimony, we learned that top executives at the company received off-the-book perks, such as luxury apartments, extra cash, free cable, all in order to avoid paying taxes. The Trump Organization could now be forced to pay the maximum penalty of $1.6 million. But putting aside his legal troubles with his businesses, Trump continues to face legal scrutiny for his efforts to overturn the 2020 elections. Special counsel Jack Smith has now subpoenaed local election officials for any communications they may have had with Trump and those working on his behalf. The subpoenas were issued to election officials in the states of Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. And in the midst of all of this, Trump and those in his inner circle are no doubt waiting with bated breath for those criminal referrals from the J6 committee. Chairman Benny Thompson has said that the committee has come to a general agreement on who to refer to the Justice Department. Now, we still don't know who or how many people or if the disgraced Trump himself will be subject to a criminal referral. But what we do know is that the committee plans to vote on criminal referrals on December 21st, when the committee is expected to release its final report. Oh, and it doesn't end there for the disgraced former president. There is still the active criminal investigation into the stolen classified documents Trump was stashing at Mar-a-Lago, apparently among other locations. Trump's lawyers found at least 2 items with classified markings in a storage unit used by Trump in West Palm Beach, Florida. The items were handed over to the FBI. They were discovered during a search conducted by an outside team hired by Trump's lawyers after a federal judge ordered the twice impeached ex-president to look even more for all classified materials still in his possession. So my question, are the wheels of justice finally starting to churn just enough to hold Trump himself accountable for his actions?
Joining me now is National Security Attorney Bradley Moss. Bradley, thanks so much for joining us again. Given this recent news that there are at least 2 additional items with classified markings found at a storage unit belonging to Trump, I have to ask you again. Do you think the DOJ will be willing to indict Trump just on an obstruction charge alone, or do we need the additional charge for violating the Espionage Act? I want to play for our audience what you said on our show just a few months ago in October. Take a quick listen.
If this is just about the Espionage Act violation, I actually do not believe they will simply bring the indictment. I think they want both of it because they want it to be a comprehensive piece.
So, Bradley, have you changed your mind at all in terms of that question?
No, Katie, I stand by exactly what I said then. And I still believe that if they do bring an indictment, and I still, as I noted way back in August, believe he will be indicted in this case, I believe it'll be for both sets of charges, not only for violating the Espionage Act in terms of this unauthorized and unlawful retention of national defense information, but more particularly and more seriously, the obstruction, the refusal to properly comply with a subpoena from the grand jury, the efforts to conceal documents at Mar-a-Lago, and clearly, as we're learning here, since they found more stuff in this other storage space, the failure to properly search all locations where documents responsive to the subpoena would be located. This is basic diligence that a proper legal team with a client who was not trying to obstruct an investigation would have done over a year ago. They didn't. That's why Trump is facing serious problems here.
Former White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney was asked about these documents. Take a listen to what he said in response.
It shouldn't be there in the first place. That's not the right place for classified documents. But it's just the most recent in a string of mishandling of documents. There's no question about that. Again, I put this aside mostly to incompetence by staff than something sort of underhanded, stealing documents and selling them overseas. I don't think anybody's actually seriously offering that right now.
In no surprise to anyone, Mick Mulvaney there blaming this entire documents case on incompetence by Trump staff. But Bradley, does that excuse hold any legal water?
No, it truly won't in the end if they choose to bring an indictment. I'm sure that's a consideration. I'm sure part of the reason that the Justice Department has been interviewing all these individuals and that they're taking their time here deciding whether or not to bring an indictment is they're trying to figure out exactly how much Trump himself knew what he was advising to people. We know he was telling, according to media reporting at least, we know he was telling at least one staffer to move boxes. Once the subpoena came in, that would be very specific evidence of intent and obstruction effort by Trump himself. And this is why I keep coming back to it's got to be all or nothing. If it was just about the unauthorized removal of those records, if they had found them and he had turned it all over to NARA when he was supposed to in 2021, this would never have been a criminal matter. It's a potential criminal indictment issue here because Donald Trump would not play by the rules and he thought he was above the law.
You know, Brad, there's other people that are involved. It's not just Trump. There's also Trump lawyers. We always joke MAGA, making attorneys get attorneys, is a Trump favorite. How does the discovery of these additional documents in that storage unit impact the possible individual criminal exposure for Trump lawyers, for example, like Christina Bobb?
Yeah, so Christina Bobb, as we all remember, was the one who signed that attestation back in June, telling the FBI that everything had been turned over, all their documents with classification markings had been returned. Now, to her credit, she included a caveat in that attestation saying, as far as she had been informed. What we've since learned is that other lawyers, appears Evan Corcoran in particular, had given her what at least it sounds like was bad information. How he was informed of it and whether or not that was from Trump himself or someone else remains to be seen. But as opposed to Christina Bobb, Evan Corcoran, to me now, seems to be the lawyer truly at risk, given he was the one sort of orchestrating these explanations behind the scenes. She was just the patsy who signed the declaration in the end.
Does the discovery of these additional classified documents provide sufficient probable cause, in your opinion, for the FBI, not that outside firm that was hired by Trump lawyers, but for the FBI to now seek additional search warrants for all of Trump's other properties, like the estate in Bedminster and perhaps even Trump Doral, which is down the street from where we are?
Yeah, I'd want to see something more than just this discovery of these two documents. The reason, remember, they went in August with the search warrant wasn't just because they had reason to believe there were records, but they had reason to believe efforts were undergoing to conceal them, to prevent the FBI and NARA from recovering all those records. That was really the crux of their argument to go in with a search warrant. I haven't seen, at least from the media reporting, and obviously I don't know what the FBI knows, whether or not there's any similar evidence here at this point with respect to the searches at Bedminster in New Jersey, with respect to Trump Tower, downtown New York City, the storage locker, whether or not there's any similar evidence. So from the sounds of it, I don't think they have enough for another search warrant. I don't think they need it. I think they've got what they need at this point if they're going to try to put a bow on this and bring an indictment. This was just icing on the cake that there happened to be more records.
Bradley Moss, national security attorney, you always know how to bring the analysis, and we appreciate you taking the time to be with us. We will hold you in your feet to the fire. When that indictment shows up, we'll see exactly what's charged. We appreciate it, though. Thanks.
Absolutely, anytime.
To support my work, please subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. Also, please don't forget to hit the bell icon so you wouldn't miss any of my new videos. Thanks for watching.